Muslims and non-Muslims to understand the complexity of Islamic history. Therefore, with 200 million Muslim minority and large population of Hindus and other religions, India is important for my book to have a lively debate on multiple issues. But as a Muslim myself, I want to examine out of 200 countries in the world, 50 Muslim majority countries. And these countries today, similar to other countries on the earth, have problems. But when we look at the history of these societies, we see much more dynamic scientific approach, philosophical approach, and development.
Books have been a very important instrument of communicating the ideas, and all dynamic societies have got the dissemination of ideas and of the knowledge as the one of the most important requirement of the growth of any society or a nation. It was amply amplified by Akbar Sahib, so I want to reiterate that. The phenomenon of the relationship of state and religion is not unique to Islam. And as was brought out by Dr. Kuru, that in different stages of history of Islam also, probably it's changed, waned and waxed, and also in different societies. Probably he said that in the Abbasid, this days, probably there was a very, very clear understanding of what was the role of the clergy and what was the role of the state. And probably thereafter, there was an overlap.
If I had to describe the book, then I would use the terminology that he himself has used for his narrative. It follows the logic of Ibn Khaldun's famous theory of rise, decline, and renewal, in which renewal comes through a concept which, to my knowledge at least, was not addressed or examined before, the concept of asabiya, the concept of community feeling, the concept of something in a community. This is the answer to what I call the Henry Kissinger question. He asked me over and over again, what happened in the 7th century? How did people from Mecca, right, living in the desert, suddenly in the space of 20 years become a world power? The answer, because Mr. Kissinger had not really read Ibn Khaldun, the answer was the sudden rise of Asabiya. And for me, while Asabiya's association has been very powerful and a very powerful fact of our history, it actually, I find it a problem in the modern era, because its association and its legitimacy to the idea of royalty, and now its inability to transition into the nation state, when in fact Asabiya could have been a force multiplier. And that, I think, is the reason why the third line of that triangle, rise, decline, renewal, by the third line of the triangle of renewal went missing in the history of Muslims in the 19th century. By the way, there is nothing called Islamic history. There is a history of Muslims. Islam is a faith. A faith is a belief. A belief, for those who do believe, is a concept.
Professor Ahmet T is the one of the finest authors on Islam and Muslim in the contemporary world. Professor Ahmed, welcome to DNN24 and Assalamu Alaikum.
Alaikum Salam. I'm very
sir?
happy to be in your country.
Many congratulations for the Hindi edition's launch. Sir, can you please tell me about your book?
So, Islam, Authoritarianism and Underdevelopment, a book I wrote analyzing contemporary Muslim societies in 50 countries. And this analysis takes long history. I ask why Muslim societies today have several problems of authoritarianism and underdevelopment, despite the fact that they had a golden age of science and philosophy between 8th and 12th centuries. That's the topic of the book.
How many years and efforts?
So I've been thinking about these questions for a long time, but I spent about 10 years for writing this particular book.
How many languages published in book?
So far 15 languages. The book has been translated. I have been trying to visit every country where it is translation published. And without Hindi, of course, it will be unfulfilled, since India has the largest population on earth, a very important country for the Muslim history. And in the golden age, Muslims learned many things like mathematics from India and taught them to Europe. That's why I'm very happy with the Hindi edition.
You are the idea of Islam inherently merging religion and state is a myth. Can you please elaborate?
Today, both Islamists and critics of Islam agree that there is no separation between religion and state in Islam. But my analysis of secularism in an earlier book on both Turkey, France, and United States, and particularly analyzing this book, show that Islam has a history of religion-state separation. From 8th to 12th century, most of the ulama, which means Islamic scholars, Islamic authorities, regarded politics as corrupt, put a distance between themselves and the rulers. The idea of Islam becomes a political ideology. The idea that there should not be any separation between state and Islam came later on, after the 11th century. And in the modern times, many Islamists in Pakistan, Egypt promoted a very wrong version of politicized notion of Islam.
Your book as a challenging conventional narratives, how has the ulama community responded?
So, in many countries, the book has been discussed. In Indonesia, I received very positive feedback. In Malaysia and Pakistan, mixed. Some conservatives, some Islamists criticize my book, disagree with it. Some more open-minded Muslims, various ideas of reformist Muslims, they supported the books and its argument. It also translated into Arabic and Persian and Bosnian, and there has been lively debates in countries speaking those languages. I came here from Vienna, where there is a growing Muslim minority in Austria. That's why my book also became a part of debates in Europe.
In South Asia, Imam Ghazali is beyond criticism. How did his idea to contribute the ulama's alliance?
So, for some people, my critique of Ghazali is unacceptable. I am telling them three things. First, I'm not blaming Ghazali for the decline of Islamic civilization, because one man cannot have such an impact. Ghazali played a role in the formation of ulama-state alliance and the promotion of blasphemy laws. That's what I'm critical of him. But my main critique is to the partnership between ulama and state as an institution, as a power source, having madrasa system and attacking philosophy. My critique is not to Ghazali, it's much broader issue. Second, Ghazali is a very complex figure. I appreciate and give him credit on Sufism, on toleration, on certain ideas of him. I am only critical very particular aspect. Third and last, Ghazali himself regret that he had connection with political authorities. After the age of 40, he went to Mausoleum of Abraham alayhi salam, prophet, and took an oath, and says Ghazali that I will never take money from public authorities again, I will never teach state-run madrasas again, and I will never even join their discussions of the ruling class gathering again. So therefore, Ghazali himself realized that there should be a distance between religious and political authorities.
The great importance has been started Hadith and Quran, yet education not given is priority on Muslim countries today?
So unfortunately, the Muslim countries lost the curiosity and attach importance to education, not only philosophy and science, even to religious sciences. Look, all the big names, we are now talking Ghazali, who lived in 11th century. And then after him only Jurjani, Taftazani, 14th century. After 15th century, there is almost no major Islamic scholar. Why? Because Muslims are stagnant. Muslims lost dynamism and curiosity. When it comes to science and philosophy, we are even worse condition. Therefore, we have to pay attention to education, to understand the word, and also understand Quran and Hadith with an enlightened, educated mind.
Are Muslim countries lagging behind that in technology?
This is obvious because even in Saudi Arabia now, they try to reform, they try to end the old ways. Iran is in full of crisis. And look at the number of Nobel Prizes Muslims are living. Every indicator shows that we are much behind in comparison to Europeans. But historically, we were the teachers of Europeans. Europeans owe many things to Muslims. That's why I'm emphasizing this in my book.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a having meeting and important time to speak with us.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be in India and Delhi Book Fair. I hope Hindi readers will enjoy reading my book.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, sure.
Thank you.
The problem is this, that the conflicts are inherent in any ideology, thought or belief system, or in the existence of any state. Any thought or any ideology has to be competitive. If it is not competitive, then it is no more, it is universally accepted. So there will be only one. If there is more than one faith and one this thing, similarly, unless there is one world state, there will be the states who will have the different conflicts. They will have peace, they will have wars. The problem is this: how do we resolve these conflicts? What is the conflict mitigation or resolution mechanism or the mindset of the societies? Problems come when Islam thought that this is possible to resolve the competitiveness or the of the thoughts and the beliefs through the same instruments as the state. Now, what happens on that? That doesn't matter, that whether the state will be able to spread a religion or not. Once coercion becomes an instrument of countering the competitive thoughts, because anyone who holds a view different than you, if you are the winner, he will exterminate you, and if the other man wins, he exterminate. You are the. So one of you survive. The new thoughts stop sprouting. If you want any change, any progress, any this thing, and you have to ponder over that, why is it that some societies become stagnant? Those societies which could not generate new thoughts, the new ideas. Look at the out of box and look at the things fundamentally. Books have been a very important instrument of communicating the ideas, and all dynamic societies have got the dissemination of ideas and of the knowledge as one of the most important requirement of the growth of any society or a nation. The phenomenon of the relationship of state and religion is not unique to Islam, and as was brought out by Dr. Kuru, that in different stages of history of Islam also, probably it's changed, waned and waxed, and also in different societies. Probably he said that in the Abbasid this days, probably there was a very, very clear understanding of what was the role of the clergy and what was the role of the state. And probably thereafter there was an overlap.
हर साल की तरह इस साल भी इल्मी और अदबी मेले का आगाज़ हो चुका है, और इस बुक फेयर में अगर देखा जाए तो इस्लाम, सत्तावाद और पिछड़पन का एक हिंदी एडिशन लॉन्च हुआ है, और जिसको लॉन्च किया है और ट्रांसलेट भी किया है खुसरो फाउंडेशन ने। मेरे साथ इसी मौके पर बातचीत करने के लिए मौजूद हैं एक अजीम शख्सियत कन्वीनर हाफिजुर रहमान सर। सर आपका DNN 24 में बहुत बहुत इस्तकबाल, बहुत बहुत खुशामदीद।
शुक्रिया।
खुसरो फाउंडेशन ने इसका ट्रांसलेट किया है, किस तरह देखते हैं आप इस चीज़ को, और ये इस्लाम और सत्तावाद और पिछड़ापन?
देखिए, ये अपने आप में बहुत ही हिस्टोरिकल काम है, माइलस्टोन है। किताबों के बारे में अगर आप एक सर्वे पढ़ेंगे तो गूगल का सर्वे ये है कि अगर 1 लाख किताबें लिखी जाती हैं तो उसमें कोई एक किताब ऐसी होती है जिसको ज़्यादा लोग पढ़ते हैं। लेकिन आज मैं उससे आगे बात कहता हूँ। 10 साल की हार्ड रिसर्च के बाद प्रोफेसर अहमद टी कुरू ने अंग्रेज़ी में इस्लाम, अथॉरिटेरियनिज्म एंड अंडर डेवलपमेंट जो किताब लिखी, जिसका ट्रांसलेशन हमने इस्लाम, सत्तावाद और पिछड़ापन, एक वैश्विक और ऐतिहासिक तुलना। ये ऐसी किताब है कि 1 करोड़ किताबों में एक ये किताब ऐसी होगी जिसको प्रोफेसर्स पढ़ेंगे, रिसर्चर्स पढ़ेंगे, स्टूडेंट पढ़ेंगे और इस्लाम की सही व्याख्या और मुस्लिम तारीख को पॉलिटिकल साइंस के एंगल से, हिस्ट्री के एंगल से, मॉडरेट एंगल से जो लोग देखना चाहेंगे, क्रिटिकल आइज से जो लोग देखना चाहेंगे, वो इस किताब को प्यार करें। तो ये किताब डिस्कस करती है, एक तो ये कि 8वीं शताब्दी से लेकर 12वीं शताब्दी तक जो एक गोल्डन एज है मुसलमानों की, जिसमें मुसलमानों ने बड़े बड़े साइंटिस्ट पैदा किए, बड़े बड़े इन्वेंशन करने वाले लोग पैदा किए, बड़े बड़े मैथमेटिशियन पैदा किए, बड़े बड़े मेडिकल साइंस की दुनिया में लोग पैदा किए, बड़े बड़े इन्वेंशन हुए, अच्छे हिस्टोरियन पैदा किए, अच्छे स्कॉलर्स पैदा किए। लेकिन क्या सबब है कि 12वीं शताब्दी के बाद उस गोल से दूर हट के लोग दौलत, ताकत, हुकूमत हासिल करने के लिए, मोनार्की कायम करने के लिए, डिक्टेटरशिप या शहनशाहियत कायम करने के लिए और उसकी तरफ लग गए।
जो है आपके आसपास, आपके शहर का खास, वो दिखाएगा आपको DNN 24, आपका अपना डिजिटल न्यूज नेटवर्क। तो फिर कीजिए लाइक, सब्सक्राइब और फॉलो।